Hello, 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 everyone. Our actual host is coming back in, I do believe. But just sit down and relax, and we just probably just gonna really get started. It's probably what we should do. So, Carla, I'm gonna get started. If Lee joined back in, just take. Let me know. We'll go from there, and I can introduce myself. So, welcome, 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 everybody. I am going to share my screen so you can see what I have, and then we can just kind of go from there. Let's see. Okay, everyone. Welcome to AI Agile and you, empowering you to lead in uncertain times. Um, First and foremost, the future isn't waiting for perfect conditions. It's rewarding those who can adapt in real time. AI is changing how we lead. Agile is changing how we learn. And the truth is, project management is really at the center of all of it. But the real story, it's not about technology. It's not about disruption. It's really about you and how you lead in uncertainty. Now, if you don't know me, if you never met me before, my name is Devon Morris or Dr. Devon Morris. I just received my PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I am an enterprise transformation and innovation leader, an IO psychologist, and founder of Atypical. As the first Black certified Scrum trainer, I help organizations worldwide thrive under pressure, integrating science, strategy, and agility to build resilient, more learning, agile teams that perform with higher levels of clarity, higher levels of confidence, and with a shared purpose. Now, we're going to kick this off by starting with chapter one. And we got four chapters to run through here. And I just want to start by telling you that I have a lot of background in project management. Back in 2005, I clearly remember building 5,000 line or task project plans that would appear on everybody's task sheet or their time sheet. But if I look at where we are a couple days later in 2025, AI is in a position where it can provide or surface insights, freeing up time for me to be more involved in coaching, more engaged with teams, be more involved in innovation. So, as a project manager, I had the same title in 2005 as I have in 2025, but the impact has been completely different. So here's a quick gut check I would like to do, and I would love for you to throw this in the comments or in the chat for me. What percentage of PM work do you think AI will literally automate by 2030? I mean, it's 2025 now. So by 2030, what percentage do you believe would be automated by 2030? Just kind of throw that in the comments, and we'll make sure we have Carla here managing the comments and everything else. So we'll at least walk through that. Now let's continue. What I've seen historically is by 2027, PMI has thrown out there that nearly 88 million project management roles will actually exist. Most will require some type of digital dexterity. 91% of teams are already relying on some virtual tools. We all kind of went through the pandemic. We all are using way more virtual tools at this point. Yet, 78% of projects still run over budget or go beyond the schedule compared to a 90% completion rate for high performing organizations. 46% of projects believe that organizations actually believe that planning is the top priority. So really, the message is very clear. The tools aren't really the issue, but your mindset is. Now, when you think about your mindset, one of the things I would like to do is take a quick pulse here. I want to put a poll out, and I don't know if let's see, we're all in this new environment, so I can see if I can put the poll out there. So I'm going to put a poll out there, and I would love for you all to respond to the poll. I'm going to launch this first poll, and the poll is asking you how many of you are already using some AI tools, right? In your daily work. Just, I'm not talking about personally. I know some of you are using it personally, but in your daily work, how many of you all are actually utilizing that tool? This tells us really who is really experimenting right now, versus who is watching from the sidelines. So hopefully at this point in time, with all the great things that are going on with AI, hopefully you're not one of the people actually watching from the sidelines. And I see, at least as people are kind of dropping or submitting the poll. I see people are doing it every day as a part of their work. I absolutely love that. Some people are occasionally using it. I see at least one person is rarely using it. Nobody said not yet. So that is a good thing. So that means this is definitely a part of what we are doing and what we are all doing all the time. I'm going to go ahead and shut down that poll for us. Okay. And let's keep going here. So the velocity of change. Some of us in this room have been fortunate enough to experience the increase that has happened of global life expectancy. But at the same time, the proliferation of technology that has been seen around the world has never been like it has been, a millennia ago, right? Now, along in that time, we seen the PMP, the first exam happened back in 1984. We seen the Agile Manifesto kind of come into light in 2001. Yet, if you look at the velocity of change, it has been exponential. What used to shift over centuries now shifts in quarters, shifts in months, maybe will be shifting in minutes. This means your learning agility must outpace your technical skills. And one day we may get to the singularity. But here's the deal. By 2030, AI is expected to automate up to 80% of a project manager's administrative workload. Reporting, tracking, data collection are probably some of those key things. But here's the truth, that it won't eliminate your job per se. It just will give you more capacity. So the question becomes, how will you use that extra capacity to react or kind of reinvent yourself? Well, here's the deal. Humanity has positioned itself and transitioned from hunter gatherers all the way through this new place that we're dealing with at this particular time, the augmented era. And the augmented era is changing things at an unprecedented pace. Note that this transition, well, let me go back because you don't see. I want to continue to talk to you about this. That went a little faster than expected. So, that being said, I want you to take a look at how the transition has exponentially changed over time. We've gone from millions of years to being millenniums to centuries to decades. But I want you to note here where we should be and where the current mental model is. It will not stay for some strange reason. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to let this so you can see this one more time, okay? The truth is, every era has had a set of skills, a strength, some knowledge, and innovation that has helped them tremendously. Okay. Now I'm going to keep going here because I've tried to show you this 2 or 3 times and it just will not show you, but that's okay. We'll keep going. But you see here as it's changing, and I'll let it change. as it goes through trying to operate within this environment here. I'll stop sharing the poll as well. Okay. And let me see. I want you to see this difference here. There's the place where there's a gap between our current mental models and where we should be at today, which is the augmented model. I'll keep moving forward since it doesn't want to show you that. And I will make sure I make my at least presentation available, at least the slides available. Now, let's talk about something different here, right? Because every era had a set of survival skills. And since we have entered the augmented era, the human advantage isn't about muscle memory, it's more about learning agility. And some of you all may not know exactly what learning agility is, but it goes beyond experience, and we will talk about that a little bit more later. Because change isn't just coming, it's actually compounding is the problem. The question isn't what will agile project management or AI do? The real question is what will you do with it? That's the question that you will have to answer. Now, as we continue here, you have to learn to lead in this new era. Your mindset must evolve faster than your actual skill set because what you got here is your experience. What brought you here is your experience. And the truth of the matter is that will not be enough for what's next. So the question at hand is, what do you need to actually be to join this augmented era, to be a big part of this augmented era? Well, first and foremost, many of you here have dealt with this change. I was born in 1973. I've seen many of these changes happen. I've stared down some of these changes. Many of us have conquered some of these changes. So in the chat, let everyone know some of the ways that you have conquered some of these different changes. What is one thing that you have done in the past to help change your mindset? Just drop it in the chat for me, and we will keep moving forward because that's there to help everyone else in the room out. Now, it's not just about that mindset because our current mindset, many of us currently have fixed thinking that kind of keeps us safe in the past. But now the advantage belongs to those who are more tech savvy, who are more collaborative, and who are more growth oriented. We've seen these with some of our major companies today, like the Netflix, the Googles, the Disneys, who have taken technology, taken the era that we're currently in, and moved forward with it. But it just doesn't stop there because agile leadership is no longer optional. It is absolutely essential. Empowerment, adaptability, continuous learning aren't buzzwords. They're really truly survival skills. Every single sprint, every project, every feedback loop, it's really leadership and training for uncertainty. And for most of you all in the room, you probably are operating within this VUCA environment. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, right? And ambiguity is what I'm speaking to. And we've seen companies grow, and some of these companies that we see right on the screen, like Spotify, is going through a tremendous amount of changes right now. But again, their leadership has led them in these uncertain times. But what is learning agility? Learning agility is your ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn faster than the pace of change. And here's the deal. Learning agility has been something that people kind of earmark for leadership. But in the studies that I've done, I've seen that learning agility is amazing for individuals, especially for teams. It separates us coaches, us leaders, us project managers. It separates us and it will show ultimately who will survive as things evolve and change. So, agile organizations, project management organizations don't just inspect and adapt, they actually learn and apply those changes. And you'll see many ways or several ways to actually build that. However, AI is not here to replace you. Somebody who knows AI will be the person that will replace you because AI is there to augment insight, to help boost your creativity along with your speed. And it absolutely will do that. So you must transition from that velocity of change that we spoke about earlier to the power of augmentation and anchor yourself in it. This is where mindset meets mechanics. Your ability to be faster, to make better decisions under pressure will become your superpower because your experiences will have to deal with novel situations and you will have to be able to adjust to them and make the right decisions to help you move on as change is happening under your feet. Because the one thing that you cannot do is you cannot automate adaptability. You can't do it. So, my question for you now is what is your mindset? What is your mindset at this point? This is where leadership becomes human again. See, our role isn't to out compute AI, but to out lead it by bringing humanity into data driven decisions. And this is what you all are capable of doing. But you can't do that by sacrificing the tools that exist. You need to use those tools. You need to use AI. You need to use your project management skills along with your agility skills to help you move forward and make those decisions. I got another poll here I would like for you all to do for me. So I'm going to take a second here and kind of get back to our technology and kind of put the poll out there. So let me try it once again as we haul in this newer environment. So let me put poll number 2 up there. You see the question. Let's see. Let me go back and let me give you poll number 2. So love for you to take a moment and really answer the questions here. When faced with uncertainty, a new challenge, what's your first instinct, right? Let's test your instinct. When you face something brand new, how do you really move? Do you look for a process? Do you really ask a peer? Do you run an experiment? Okay. Would love for you to drop your answer in the poll. And I see that, a lot of people pause and they like to observe first. I see that already. I see that some people like to experiment. I am a person that absolutely loves to experiment with whatever it is. But again, that goes back to my agility background. I see others here like a playbook, a process, right? Which can be really difficult to have if things are changing under your feet. Look, there's no wrong answer here, right? Just where are you at, right? Currently, what's your first instinct is all we're really asking here because my philosophy to you is you can have a first reaction, you can take that first instinct, but you always have the ability to adjust yourself, right? So you may have that initial reaction of I just observed first, and then you might take action right after that. So great. I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll because it's been running for a minute here, and I'll share the results with you all so you all can see it. Okay. But we got several people, at least the majority of the room is willing to run an experiment, which I love. I actually love seeing that. But again, there's no wrong answers here. Let me stop sharing that and let's continue. One of the things that's really important that you have to understand is that there's a human AI partnership. AI should never be seen as competition. Okay. I would think of it as more of a coworker. I know a lot of people just want to call it a tool, but I was having a conversation last year at a conference and talking to a CIO of a cutting edge IT company, right? And that person was talking about having leaderless teams because they had AI coworkers on some of their development teams, not as a tool, but as a coworker, as a pure team member. So we were having a conversation on how leaders lead teams that don't need leaders anymore, right? So when you think of it as a coworker, one that amplifies your focus, your insight, and your foresight. But the key that you have to understand is that it still needs you. It needs you for judgment. It needs you for empathy. It needs you for creativity because it doesn't have that. So the human AI partnership is that AI is a partner, not a replacement for you. That's what you have to at least get down deep into your bones. From the studies that I've been looking at in the past couple years, I see that humans don't just trust AI solely. However, AI has proven to show that in the medical field, radiologists, for example, are able to find, cancer cells faster using AI in combination to what they currently do. So they're able to find things sooner and have more of those right answers happen sooner. That's what I mean by that AI, that partnership. You take that partnership and you utilize it because, again, it's not about replacing you. However, AI is reshaping everything, as you know, right? I have kids that are going into the trades because they don't want to deal with what AI is doing. But when you think about predictive analytics, automation, real time data, these are really your new tools. But your intuition remains your greatest asset. See, the future actually belongs to those who can balance machine intelligence with human wisdom, right? Well, takes it a little bit further than that. I think I'm ahead. Let me back up. I'm looking here and you actually see what I just said to you, right? You have some themes here that are associated with AI. You got technology and acceptance and integration, where AI must seamlessly blend with the existing workflows. You got trust and collaboration dynamics, emphasizing the need for human workers to trust AI and collaborate with it, which also becomes really super important. And then you have, let's see, efficiency, workflow optimization, barriers to actual AI adoption, along with those psychosocial, right, support and organizational support. Well, let's take it a little bit further than that because the fact is this: you are the one that needs to make it happen. You are really the change agent in what we do. AI and Agile are powerful tools. Project management has been well established for decade upon decade, right? But transformation still depends on you. Change still depends on you. You actually have to be the change agent. You have to be the person that leads by example. You have to be someone who encourages everyone through experimentation. Yeah, we're going to celebrate small wins. We have to do that. But you got to remember that you cannot delegate this transformation of yourself and the people around you that you plan to lead in uncertain times. If you look at some of the examples that exist here, right? Change agents are people who lead by examples, people who are proactive, people who are actually empowering others to drive change. When you think about adaptability, vision, right? How you're going to communicate, having that empathy, all those things are important. All these things are steps in the right direction that we must do as individuals that are leading in uncertain times. So then, What about the tools, right? Because tools change. Technology is going to evolve, but a learning agile mind it will literally outlast every single one of them. See, that's the heart of what this session is all about. Your ability to learn, adapt, and lead is the timeless characteristic that makes you absolutely human and is what we've seen happen over time, millennia ago, decades ago, right? Over the past quarters, right? You have to bridge yourself from AI mechanics to actually human development and find that sweet spot of connection with everyone that is involved, with everyone that is involved. And here's the deal. In a world where information doubles every 12 hours, learning agility isn't a luxury, it's your leadership currency, and you should use it again and again and again as best you can. Now, let's talk about some of the best insights and how you can take action, right? Leadership isn't about knowing what to do, it's about doing what you know consistently. You have to have ownership. You got to have some agency. And one of the things you have to do is continuously learn. So the question at the table is, what will you do next? I want to spend the remaining time talking about some of the things that you can do. And I want to leave room for you all to ask questions, right? So, and then we can have a conversation. Turning your insight into results is important. What you have to understand is that this is where we stop admiring the ideas and actually start using them. Lots of people actually take notes. Leaders actually take action. So, autonomy plus your goals is what empowerment is all about. Empowerment is not doing whatever you want. That's not what it is. Empowerment is, I trust you inside of these clear objectives, inside of these clear outcomes. When people know the target and have the freedom to get there, performance actually goes up, whether it's individuals or teams. I want you to learn how to actually set very specific short term goals. See, don't go back and try to just transform your organization just out the blue. That can be how that initiative it just fails and falls on its face immediately. I've been a part of many organizations where I've seen Scrum, Agile, a project actually fail. You have to pick some time frame, right? 2 weeks, 30 days, right? Call it a sprint, whatever you want to. Make some goal. I would call it a sprint goal, right? And make sure you have something that's measurable. Make sure it's a SMART goal. Like you want to use AI to cut status reporting time by 50%. Like you want to run one AI assisted retrospective. Make sure that you have some type of short term goal that will help you in the situation. Even if you want to make this more personal for some of you all that's using AI outside of the work environment and you don't have the place to use it in the work environment, you know, do it on some of the things that you're interested in, your hobby, something like that, to get that practice in. So, and then you can make it so for your teams, for your organization. Next, take immediate, measurable actions, period. If it's not measurable, it's not sustainable. You got to ask yourself, what will we see? What will we hear? What will we count that tells us that this thing that we tried, this thing that we're doing actually work? If you don't do that, then how do you know what to improve? How do you know what to make better? And you have to put yourself in a position where you can try to improve it, where you ultimately can try to make it better. You want to also create a culture of autonomy along with trust. One of the things that I know from the research that I've done is that autonomy is a precursor for psychological safety, which many of you have heard about before, and it's also a motivational factor. So once you take money off the table, which is an extrinsic motivator, purpose, autonomy, and mastery are the things that motivate knowledge workers. So autonomy actually fits into two very distinctive, important places that help organizations and teams thrive. If people are scared to try AI, they won't try it. If your organization doesn't build in that culture that allows people to take a risk, fail fast, within certain limits, right? So you don't want to put people in pitfalls where they completely fail and people get fired, right? You don't want people to be punished for an experiment that doesn't work because they're just trying something. Because the moment you punish them for something that didn't work, is the moment that they stop trying and they won't try again. Many of those people will not do that. Your job here is to make it a really safe place for them to learn. Make it a safe place for them to grow and share what's happened. You want to also align teams around key objectives. I completed another certified Scrum Master class yesterday, and one of the big questions that came up was how we tie our sprint goals to the objectives and key results that exist within the organization. There should be a through line between some of the experiments that you're running and the organization's ultimate objectives, right? See, because AI, Agile, project management, leadership in general, none of these things matter if everyone is rowing in different directions. If everybody is moving in different directions, at some point we got to have a North Star where we are collectively moving forward in a particular direction. So make sure you tie the work back to the mission, back to the vision, back to your goals, back to the customer, back to the strategy, back to whatever it is that's your North Star here. I want you to also provide real clear boundaries and objectives. See, tell your teams, look, here's what success looks like. Here are the things that's non-negotiable. Everything else are experiments. Everything else we do are experiments. So they know what success looks like. They know the things that they can't do. Otherwise, they get walked out the door. Then everything else, let's go try something. Let's go do something, right? Google is famous for giving people 20% of their work time to run experiments, right? Which is one of the reasons why Google has always been an extremely innovative company, right? See, when you do this, that's how you get innovation, right? That's how you make innovation happen. That's how you don't command and control people. That's how you give people some more buy-in to what's happening. Just like a safety net for them, right? I want you to also encourage that collaborative cross-functional team. AI works best when business, tech, and delivery talk to each other. To me, inside of an organization is one company, and everybody has to be aligned in that company. I was having a conversation with a company where went into and started working with IT, and I said, look, you're not just an expense, you're actually an enabler of the business. Your ability to enable the business to meet the needs of the customer is what you're here to do. So tie all your measurements to your ability to enable them, right? Which means down to your teams need to be able to work through that with each other, work through that with other teams. You need to find ways to actually break the silos. You want to put project managers, agilists, analysts, operations in the same conversations. That's diversity of thought. And when you have diversity of thought, you're going to have better decisions that actually happen faster because teams go through this storming, norming, and forming, and they're going to storm. They're going to fight with each other. That's how you get the best of the best ideas on the table. So bottom line is this, right? Insight without activation is just entertainment, right? I have a lot of people that talk and talk and talk and don't do anything. I need you. If there's anything you're going to do in this professional development day, take one thing from today. Make yourself the owner of it. Give yourself a deadline and go execute. Because once again, that autonomy plus your goals is going to be empowerment, but I'm giving you permission to empower yourself, to get yourself to move forward. So then, build and learning agility, harnessing AI, and practical leadership, look, is about a few things. Action being a catalyst, embracing uncertainty, and making sure you inspire other people through the actions that they see you actually take. Through the actual actions that they see you take, which becomes really important. So let's dive into another poll here. Another poll. Let me go ahead and launch the poll for you. Okay. Here's the question. Where could AI create more space for you to lead? Where can it actually do that? We got about 7 more minutes to go here. I'm going to leave room for you actually to ask questions, but I would love for you to go ahead and throw something into that poll, right? Is it going to help with decision making, communication, innovation? What will it help you with, right? This question is about reframing AI from being a threat to being the amplification of everything that you do. Okay? So what is that one area where AI could free you to lead more, to free you to help out even more becomes the question, right? When I look here, I see planning and reporting. Great. If it helped you with planning and reporting, that would clear you up to do so many other things. So I love that. So I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to share the results with you so you all can see it. Such amazing answers. Once again, there's no wrong answers on that. I want to make sure that I tell you that so you know. Okay. Now, here's the deal. The first, right? When you talk about empowering you to lead in uncertain times, first, you have to understand that AI is a powerful agent, right? And I mean, they're spending billions upon billions of dollars on this, right? But the human AI collaboration is essential. See, AI can automate, right? It can predict, it can accelerate, but AI doesn't care about anybody, man. AI doesn't. It can't build trust. It can't read the room that exists. See, that's why the win isn't AI or humans, it's AI with humans, or I'm going to say humans with AI, because leaders like you have to orchestrate that partnership. If you don't orchestrate that partnership, then it doesn't exist. Second, leadership requires adaptability and empowerment, y'all. See, in volatile environments, people might say VUCA, right? Command and control is really slow. Adaptive leadership empowers teams to make decisions closer to the work. We love pushing decision making closer to the work because your job is to create clarity, not control. Third, learning agility is critical for navigating rapid change because you don't know the thing that's about to happen. You don't know how you need to adapt. But the people in the teams who can learn, unlearn, relearn the fastest will always outperform those with the most experience. Because we're talking about adaptability here, something you can't really plan for. So, experience you can use as an edge, but now the learning speed becomes your edge when you apply learning agility to it. I didn't cover number four. Let me cover number four. Sorry about that. Let me talk about number four. This thing is going. Um, so let me make sure I talk about number four here, okay? Because number four was important, okay? Well, it's not allowing me to go back. So here's the deal. What does your journey actually start? Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take imperfect action. You do not have to be perfect in what you do, right? I want you to set those actionable, measurable goals. I want you to experiment. I want you to reflect. I want you to repeat. That's agility in motion. And you need to have agility in motion. Here's the deal. Without action, even the best decisions will fade. The people here, like you, the leaders who will define the future, are those who exist agility within that. Okay. I want you to just think to yourself, you're here, right? This is where theory meets ownership. You've seen patterns before. Now it's time for you to act. I want you to adapt. I want you to accelerate. But here's the key. I'm going to ask you to do something for me. You have 10 seconds to think here, okay? I want you to write in the comments, write down one thing you'll do differently on Monday in the chat. I'm asking you to make this a micro commitment because leadership isn't about titles. It's really truly about daily actions. One of the reasons why I want you to do that is because I want you to make a commitment to yourself. I want you to throw it in the chat so other people can see you make that commitment. And I want them to get some examples as well. Okay? So please think about it for 10 seconds. Throw something in the comments for me. Now, here's the deal. We're going to keep moving here because we got a few minutes and then we'll open up the floor for questions. The world doesn't need more project managers, more agilists. It needs adaptive leaders, and you can be those adaptive leaders. The kind who actually build systems that learn, the kind that will take this by the horns and move forward, allow people to experiment. This is your invitation. This is your competitive advantage. Okay. My name is Devon Morris. Let's build that future together. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions. I'm going to stop sharing at this point and see what kind of questions you all may have. Okay. So let me stop sharing. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here in this day. So what kind of questions do you have? I see the Q&A is here. So I'm going to open up the Q&A and take a look. I see somebody wrote 33%. I see something some of them answered. Let's see. There was lots of cases where humanization of AI has led to bad outcomes, suicides linked to AI. So I'm sorry, I disagree with this. No problem. I understand. You got the right to your opinion. And again, we don't know where the future is going, right? Completely. Um, how can you quantify or measure our current processes so that we can decide how much we want to be able to improve or make a goal around it so that we can compare our improvement over time? I tend to think of things in terms of return on investment, sometimes how much time is going to be saved. If you're doing things internal in an organization, time savings is probably the biggest measurement that you'll find amongst most things. And so, like, if I am utilizing AI to make something better for me or give me more time to do something, the question is, I take current state, whatever that current state is, measure the time it takes me to do that, and then measure the time it takes me to do it in terms of future state with I. That difference right there is my return on investment. how much time I save. Maybe it's 33%, maybe it's something different than that, but I want you to make sure you go ahead and do that. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to move on to the next one. Does anyone know of AI tools that can help track time spent on work or other performance metrics? I don't know of AI tools that help you with those metrics, but I know you can measure them yourself, right? You can measure them outside of the tool and then do those comparisons. And all those comparisons are about gap analysis. How do you know if you have enough information to take action with agility? I'm going to say you don't. You don't. I'm gonna say take a risk. I'm gonna say get out there and try something, right? And then as you learn, take those lessons and grow with those lessons, right? But it will require you to take a risk. I've had AI help me with many of things, but when I first started testing it out, I was seeing AI have the ability to help me save 80% of my time on building a transformation plan, which means that additional time was dedicated, and it was probably 60% right what it provided me. So that was major. Let's see. Sorry about the hiccups I had in this session. I'm trying to navigate how to run this thing and also make sure you can see the presentation. So that was a challenge, but I'm glad you all enjoyed the session. Let's see. We still got a little bit more time here. What are some specific steps that will help me leverage AI in my planning? Um, to me, a lot of our project management tools that we use in general, they have incorporated AI into it. One of the things that I do is I use three different AIs a day, every day. There's three of them I use every day to to not necessarily talk to each other, but to have a conversation with me, because I'm trying to figure out what's the most right thing and what's the best way for me to move forward with some things. And it's able to give me way more information is the thing, right? And so I'm really tying myself to it. But my statement is I would just go jump in some of these AI tools and just try some things. Just go and try some things, right? Definitely, I'd be in Chat GPT, Claude, and then pick another one, right? My one of choice right now, at least for generative AI, is Gemini along with it, right? So please do that. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Thank you. I'm glad you have the presentation. I think Lee Lambert has a question. Well, Lee, do you have a question? Lee can unmute himself and talk and say something if Lee got a question. All right, so what would the first step in learning be to utilize AI so that I can excel whatever position I am in professionally, right? Um, I definitely would try to find ways to run experiments inside of the job. So if I'm currently employed inside of a role right now, I'm going to utilize it to help me make things better inside of my current role. At least make it better for myself, and then figure out how we can incorporate these things as a team. Okay. So that's probably how I would move forward. Okay. I don't see any more questions in the Q&A section. Well, see something just popped up, right? Younger project managers are being told that they can make mistakes. They can make mistakes and not move fast on new projects. Doesn't this waste the customer's money? Um, I would say fundamentally, yes. But here's the deal. Let me talk to you from this perspective. As a Lean Six Sigma black belt, I think of things in three different steps: value add, non-value add but necessary, and waste. If it's not value add, something the customer's willing to spend money on, then the next thing is non-value add but necessary. And there are some things that you have to do as an organization that's going to help you to grow, that's going to help you to get things done, that's going to take away from what the customer, the time that you can spend on the customer, but you need to do to best position the organization. And they may be doing that to actually allow these younger project managers to be more innovative, to maybe find new ways of doing things. So there may be some logic behind that, but I don't see it in being innately wrong. As long as they're meeting the things that are necessary, they're not messing up the non-negotiables. I think it's okay to spend additional time on things. Okay, so Look, y'all, looks like we got about a minute to go. I'm going to say to you again, my name is Dr. Devon Morris. I really appreciate you spending time in this session. Hopefully, you got value out of it. My apologies for some of the hiccups because I was trying to run two or three different things at the same time of actually having a conversation with you. So I'm going to say enjoy the rest of the professional development day. And I'll see you all later because I'm coming back to answer more questions. Lee, anything else we should say here, Lee, since you're the host extraordinaire? You got to mute yourself, Lito. You got to mute yourself.
You have said it all, my friend.
All right. Then we're going to say, y'all, peace. Y'all have a good one. And we'll see you around here, okay? Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the rest of the day, okay? Lee, now, I don't know if we're supposed to end this or what we should do, but I'm going to go ahead and click the end button, okay? Anything you need from me, Lee?
Nope, think we're good.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye bye.